it's just a game changer, man. Being strong is, you read the words in the book, you go through the program, you do some yard work, you're like, hell yeah, being strong is good. But you, you know, when you get into a situation where like being strong is literally what keeps you from dying,
Yeah.
you really kind of realize like, oh yeah, okay, being strong is pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, the program, everything is that Rip and Steph and Baker and all these people have put together. I mean, saved my life.
Today's guest is Bruce Trout. Bruce is a coach at Starting Strength Columbus under PEA and the team over there in Ohio. Bruce is a guy who Ina was pushing me to have on the podcast because Ina has a tendency to push relentlessly on things. And I hear she actually pushed you pretty hard to join us and become a coach. But we'll talk about that later. I wanted to start out with your story.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting things about you is you're one of these guys who makes the rest of us feel like lazy pieces of shit because you're in the gym as an amputee, with one leg and a prosthetic, doing heavy, difficult stuff, not complaining, getting it done. So that's something I want to share with the group. Just your mindset and where your head's at. And before we get there, though, I do want to talk about the accident. For those that haven't read Bruce's article, Harder to Kill, we will link to that in the description on startingstrength.com. Bruce, would you mind starting with breaking down exactly what happened that day?
Yeah. If I start to ramble, just cut me off. I tend to do that. But 2019, November 22nd. At the time, I was living up northern Ohio. But I was on my way to work early morning. Sun hadn't come up yet, and just as I was about to get onto the highway to the main stretch of the road, I saw an accident. So I don't know for sure. I was about 60 yards ahead of me, something like that. But it's a junction, so the car coming off the highway didn't stop, didn't yield, T-boned a car that was headed the same direction I was up ahead of me, and flipped him over into the median. So I was close, so I kind of sped up. It looked pretty nasty, so I ran up, and I don't have any real training as far as a medic or anything like that, but I figured, what the hell, maybe someone, maybe I can pull someone out if it need be or whatever. And so I ran up and just started yelling out to him, and luckily he was okay. He was like, yeah, I'm okay, actually, just call 911. So I'm like, hey buddy, I can do that, no problem. So turn around to walk back to my truck and wake up basically in a hospital. So like a week later. So I got some youngish kid. I don't know if he wasn't paying attention or just commotion from the traffic that had kind of by that point stopped because of the accident, but didn't see the commotion real well. Slammed on his brakes, locked him up, got into the median, hit me, and then it propelled me into the car that had flipped over. And so it's a bit blurry on some of the details exactly, but pretty sure he must have hit me in my left leg. And then also that leg was just slammed into the back window of the truck that was rolled over. So compound fractures up my leg. I think there were 3. And then the glass, as I went through the glass, it severed my femoral artery. And then, just jacked me up pretty bad. So,
yeah, Jesus.
And then luckily there was a medic off duty that had stopped essentially the same time I did. And so she got she got clipped a little bit as well from the car, but was managed to, she was okay by and large. So she got a tourniquet on me, and then luckily the state patrolman wasn't too far behind. And they got a tourniquet on me
Hmm.
and life flighted me up to well, they ambulanced me to the local hospital where I was just pouring blood. So they're like, well, we need to get a chopper in here. Got me stable enough to take the ride up to Toledo, uh, and then I was in a medically induced coma for about a week,
Whoa.
and then came out. So I got hit on a Friday, came out on a Friday, came out on the next Friday, still pretty groggy, but Saturday I was kind of awake and picture was becoming a little more clear and realized, I'm missing my leg or whatever there. So, and, but yeah, then I spent the next 5 weeks in the hospital recovering and then went home. So
Jesus.
yeah, it was pretty fucking crazy.
That's a
But
harrowing story. I want to divert to a couple of points there to make a few suggestions to those that are listening, so we can avoid future tragedies as much as
mhm,
possible. Man, good for you for stopping to help. That's
yeah,
that says a lot about you. When there's not a whole lot of time to think and someone's hurt and needs your help, you didn't hesitate to jump in. That's admirable. I do want to mention something that you may be aware of now, and a lot of people are not aware of. I just went through EMT training this past summer. We're recording this in December of 2022. The You cannot pass your test as an EMT because there's there's a platform exam to become an SSC. There's a practical exam to become an EMT too, and you have to walk up to a mock trauma situation or a mock medical situation. It ends up being both, and then assess what's going on and resolve the issue based on your assessment of the situation. So you cannot pass this test if you arrive on the scene and fail to do one thing, which is make sure the scene is safe. Make sure the
yeah,
scene is safe. So the reason I mention this is because for those of you that have a big heart like Bruce and you want to help, I think that is an excellent inclination, and we need more people like you. I just want to encourage everybody that if you ever see anything where you need to go help and be a good Samaritan, please put your own personal safety first and do not enter
yeah,
the scene unless the scene is safe.
yeah.
The second thing I want to mention is the tourniquet. Bruce, were you awake? Do you remember
Um,
after being hit by the car on the scene?
so I was technically awake, but I only have two very, very brief memories.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, but I was talking to the girl,
Right.
to the EMT. So, but
Isn't that
I don't
amazing?
remember any of it. Yeah.
Jesus.
She which, believe it or not, I just kept saying my leg hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you
So
know?
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
painful
believe
injury,
it or not,
man.
hey, my leg hurts, bro.
And a
And
terrifying one, I have to say, because that femoral artery has some serious blood pressure behind it, and
oh, bro,
you can
yeah,
you can
it's not good.
all that human juice needs to stay inside your body for the thing to keep ticking. So,
Yeah,
I'm
well, she was saying how she was pretty sure I was going to die.
yeah.
So, like when she got it wrapped around me, she told us obviously later we had met up with her. My wife and I met up with her. Um, she was pretty much at that point like just looking for my wallet because she figured I was going to die and wanted to figure out if I had any next to kin or a wife or anything. So because in her experience, it's like this doesn't look good.
Yeah.
So
No, that's
yeah,
usually not a promising situation. So before we go any further, hey man, I'm glad you're here. And
yeah.
I'm
Thanks,
sure
buddy.
your wife and your daughter are too. So congratulations.
Yeah, I think my daughter just turned 3, so still too young to really have any kind of understanding or grasp of that. But
Yeah.
uh, in a handful of years, I think she'll really be like, "Holy shit, dude!"
Yeah. When she realizes what you went through. All
Yeah,
right. So one more point on safety and protocol, and then let's get back to the normal scheduled programming here. Keep in mind, I'm a theorist when it comes to this stuff because I've only been on the ambulance 3 times so far. So you can take what I'm saying here as what is in the official guides when EMTs are trained, and I have not pressure tested these concepts in the field. But another concept is if you need to stop a bleed and you need a tourniquet, Do not use a makeshift tourniquet. A makeshift tourniquet could actually increase bleeding. This is the theory. I'm not talking from experience here. So I just want to mention that because the official training that we go through indicates that, well, first of all, Jesus, why not carry a tourniquet in your car? Carry two for
sure.
situations just like this, right? And when you apply that fucking thing, it has to hurt. It's got to be unbelievably tight. You need to close off the flow of blood, regardless of how much that person is writhing in pain, because you're trying to save their ass. I believe this gal that stopped the EMT tried to use like a makeshift seatbelt. And I don't, obviously have no clue what happened, but hopefully it helped. I just wanted to mention that in case anyone else is in a similar situation, and in case this inspires somebody to go out and buy a pair of tourniquets and just keep them in your door panel,
Well, and I would say to get a couple tourniquets, get a reflective vest.
Yep.
And get a couple road flares.
Yes.
The reflective vest for sure. In a case like this, most of the time you're not going to be dressed to be outside like that in the dark. Yep. You're just going about your day at work, whatever. So have a vest on you so that you can just pop it on real quick. I mean, would it have changed the outcome for me? I don't know, but at least it improves the chances. So do it. Take care of it.
Sure.
And they're not expensive, and they're easy to get. So
yeah, I think everybody that cares about this topic should go on Amazon right now. Last I checked, you can't buy flares on Amazon. I don't know if it's an explosive thing or because they're so heavy or whatever, but
probably
they do have these little circular battery-powered flashing discs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So if the scene isn't safe, but you can make the scene safe, that's useful. And then buy those pairs of tourniquets and take a class, go down to see Nick one of these days and do a lift, shoot, fight thing. I'm not sure if he's doing medical stuff yet, but if he's not, he knows the guys that are. So take a class in your area and learn this stuff. It's useful. I actually carry an AED. It's $1,200-$1,300, but it's a little box that's in my truck. And if somebody goes into cardiac arrest, I can potentially defibrillate them on site. No ambulance required, right? So if you've got the cash for that, and you've got a bunch of at-risk people that you live with, and with car accidents, it's like everybody's at risk. You want to talk about risk assessment. Yeah. Everyone's freaking out about all this low-risk stuff, and I won't mention any specific C words. But it's like driving's dangerous, man. Driving's the real
super dangerous,
fucking risky thing that we do every day here. Well, Bruce, thank you for sharing the story, man. And I want to go back. I want to get a peer into your mind. I'm interested in strong-willed people, people that when faced with adversity, their inclination is to keep moving forward. It's this military quote, right? I'm not sure who to attribute this to. It's if you're going through hell, keep going. Mm-hmm. Can you take us back to what was going through your mind once the cobwebs cleared and you woke up in the hospital? What were you thinking, and where was your head at?
Well, it's pretty crazy actually, because I woke up strangely aware of what was happening. Now some of that is, the anesthesia takes some time to wear off. So like I said, I was pulled out on Friday, still out of it, but awake, but way out of it. Saturday, I was still a little, but I was way more present. But I remember just waking up and kind of knowing my leg was gone. Almost like, obviously I could see that it's gone, but I mean, like, I'm covered up. It's not obvious visually that my leg is gone, but I remember waking up and just like, okay, kind of had a good idea of what was going on, knew the leg was gone. But, the big thing, so I told you I had two very, very brief moments of kind of clarity from the time I got hit to the time I woke up a week later. There was just two little spots. And so one of them was in the ambulance. Basically told him literally like, hey man, I gotta, real quick, my daughter was born on the 3rd of December.
Wow.
So I came out of the induced coma on the 29th, then my wife gave birth. So I told the EMT, I'm like, hey man, I got a wife and a baby on the way. Don't let me die here. And then I had a small little interaction with the same guy as he was putting me on the chopper. And I remember being like, hey, buddy, you awake? I'm like, he's like, hey, man, we did it. You didn't die, man. I remember just being like, appreciate it, and then passing out and waking up. So
Oh,
there was this
Jesus
kind of real
Christ.
weird calmness when I woke up. I just kind of, I think there was this because I mean, like I said, I wasn't, I don't remember, but I kind of feel like maybe I had this awareness that like I almost died,
Yeah.
and so just the fact that my eyes were open, seeing my wife, and so I'll tell you, at least in my opinion, no matter how weak-willed or strong, when you really understand that you were about to die, but then luckily didn't, everything is greener, man. You
It's
know what
good
I'm saying?
perspective,
So
huh?
So for me, yeah. So for, I'd like to think, and I maybe to some degree for sure, I like to think I'm strong-willed but some of it I just think, man, when, when you don't die, it's like, fuck, man, I'm not dead. Whatever I got now is better than being dead. So I'll take it. But, you know, it's just kind of how I grew up, just like you say, you just keep pushing forward and, life is hard. It's harder for some than others. And that's, just kind of how it is. And you go through hard things and you just push. And I'll tell you, my wife was a big player in that. And, but my daughter, like the, I like to think I like to think I'm this cool dude. So I think, yeah, I willed myself to live, bro. That's really what happened. And is that true? I don't know, maybe a tiny bit, but I do think knowing my daughter was there
Yeah.
did give me this kind of like, oh man, I'm not fucking going out today. So that was the big thing. But and then moving forward from that, it was like, well, all of this is going to be documented. My wife and all that, we're gonna have pictures, we're gonna have these stories, and so basically I kind of was able to fast forward, 10, 20 years, and okay, what kind of man do I want my daughter to view me as?
Hmm. Good
And
question.
it's not to simplify it too much, but it's like, am I just gonna, be a pussy and fucking give in and just do nothing? I'm gonna be a man. I'm gonna be a strong person, man, woman, whatever. And I'm gonna push through this because what kind of example do I set for my daughter and now my son?
Yep.
And if I just give in, so
Yep.
yeah, so that was the big thing. And so it sucked. Obviously, I really wish I had my leg, but you just you deal with it. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
because I have an example to set now for my children, and so I want them to understand that no matter how bad things can be, you just pick the stone up and keep walking.
Yeah.
You just carry the burden. So,
Your
but
purpose
I
for
was,
existence goes beyond the personal enjoyment gained from existing. You're existing for something bigger than that.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That
It's
is
not about
motivating.
me. Yeah. It's not about me anymore, and it, I love my wife to death. I do, I don't know, but there was something about my daughter being on the way.
Yeah.
As much as I love my wife, I still am not totally sure. I think my daughter was really because it's like my wife's an adult. It's going to be rough, but she's capable.
Sure.
She can pick, but my daughter can't not have her dad around if I can help it. So it's
She
just,
needs
you
you.
just pick the pieces up and go. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
man. I'm 3 weeks
so it
out
was,
from our daughter coming along, and
oh, it's awesome. Yeah,
it's
dude,
it's
it's the best.
indescribable. It's indescribable for those of you out there that are into this kind of id limbic system primal stuff. It doesn't get any better than having a baby. Looking
No,
at
is
your
this your
wife
first?
pregnant, my first, yeah.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
incredible.
that changes you. It changes you. The whole like whatever your ceiling of importance, right? All of a sudden is like way up here, and all
Oh
this other
yeah.
shit is just
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
laughable in comparison.
Oh yeah. It really is. And you don't, until you kind of get in this, you could, people say that all the time. And then, but then you're experiencing, you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly right. You're
Yeah,
like, everything changes. And it's like, but yeah, that's awesome, dude. I'm congratulations,
yeah,
buddy. It's a lot of fun, man. It's
yeah.
tough. It can be very tough, but dude, it's yeah. I love my daughter. I love my son. It's the best, man.
Good
It's the
for you.
best, man.
I'm so glad you're here and that your kids get to benefit from you raising them. Let me ask you, when you decided to start the rehabilitation process and what you were thinking, what your options were, what you ended up doing, and why.
So, you know, I'm a meathead in by and large. So, my first thought was like, fuck, I lost like 25 pounds in here, man. I'm a skinny punk now. Like, took all that time to gain some muscle. Now now I'm sitting in this damn bed for 6 weeks. So, they hooked me up with physical therapy, but well, so I'll just some context quickly.
That's the
I
most
was
starting
almost,
strength shit ever. How much weight did I just lose?
yeah, well, dude, I was pissed, man. I'm a small guy. Hopefully we'll have I'll have the pleasure of meeting you in person sometime, but I'm a tiny dude, man. I'm the exact insect ant that Rip complains about, And so I was milks every, gallon of milk a day for fucking it, just trying my best. And I finally was walking around at feeling pretty good. And then this happens and I dropped like 25 pounds. But, the, so for some quick context. So I was pretty much unscathed otherwise. I broke my collarbone, but it broke in a position where there was literally no loss of function or it didn't hurt, didn't cause me any pain. So outside of the left leg being just, totally destroyed, my knee totally destroyed. The rest were just some scrapes. So I was able to get after it pretty much right away. And so they hooked you up with physical therapy, and the people there were great. A lot of appreciation for them, but it didn't do anything really,
Sure.
and in my particular, didn't do too much of anything. They gave me a little bit of mobility in my knee back, but but I kind of knew right off the bat, like, all right, I can't squat and I can't stand up yet. It took about, so I was out of the hospital like 6 weeks on the dot. And then it took another 6 weeks before I got my prosthetic, something like that, roughly.
So did they save the femur? This is a below the knee amputation?
Yeah, below the knee.
Oh, okay.
So
Awesome.
they thought they were going to have to take it all the way up the hip, but, you know,
More good news.
I don't know. Chocolate milk, man, saved my life, I think, because I was just pounding it, trying to gain weight right away. I'm like, yeah, I got to get some weight on. I know I'm coming. I don't want to come out of here too light. But they ended up saving it from the knee down, so it worked out really well. Best situation, given the circumstances, is about the best way it could have turned out.
Yeah.
So I've got just below the knee, and my knee's destroyed. I have very limited mobility, but I've gotten enough now to where I can walk fairly normal. But I knew I wasn't going to be able to do squatting or deadlift or anything. I was hopping around with a walker, and but I'm like, but I can bench, and I could probably do some seated shoulder press and do some shit, whatever. So so I got out into the gym and just tried to do something, And so when I think I was benching, I think I benched 280 not long before the accident, and then I could barely move the bar, like, after I got back home. But I'm like,
wow.
whatever, I do something. I mean, I'd lost so much strength.
It was that extreme. You couldn't bench the bar.
It was crazy. I mean, I could bench it, but it was a struggle. It was tough, man. So, but yeah, I just started going to work out in the gym, benching, seated presses, and Nick Delgadillo, fucking love that guy, hit me up early. He's like, hey man, just because I'd worked with him a handful of years before online coaching. And so we had a little bit of a relationship, and he's a great dude. So he hit me up and he's like, hey man, I want to help you out. I want to help coach you or whatever, just hit me up when you're ready, and let's see what we can figure out. So, but until I got my prosthetic, I was just benching, trying to do some chin ups, trying to do some seated press, all very lightweight, but just trying to get something going. That started coming back pretty quick, actually. So I started gaining weight, muscle came back pretty quick, and started getting the hang of things again. And then basically as soon as I got my prosthetic, I was like, all right, I can press, I can deadlift or rack pull. So let's see how that goes.
Did you need the whole time to get a particular type of prosthetic, or is it just any prosthetic? I mean, since your knee joint is intact, as long as it's something that roughly puts your other foot in line with the prosthetic, you're good to go.
Yeah. So you would need, so I qualified for the most active prosthetic. So that was good, but it's just a general. It's not an athletic. So you'll see like the Pistorius dude or what you'll see the big blades. So those they make them for running in particular,
Hmm.
but mine is not for that. So the when you're doing low impact, like strength training is a great example of that. You don't really need anything in particular. The one you wear every day is fine because you're not really running around and everything.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, the one they fitted me with, it was the best one that I could get, like the best one anyone could get. It's top of the line.
It's titanium
And
or
yeah, well, stainless steel hardware, and then the socket itself is just carbon fiber,
mm.
and then the foot is carbon fiber. Um, but yeah, it's pretty basic. I mean, because I have the knee, it's a good thing that I have the knee, is it simplifies the prosthetic
Mm.
tremendously. You don't worry about any real joints, and there's no ankle joint. So my deadlift is a little more like a straight leg, but
Mm.
it's pretty well there. But
So there's
um,
zero flexibility where the foot meets the bottom of the prosthetic. Is that right?
not exactly zero,
Okay.
but it's not a joint. It's just well, it's just a smaller version of the big blades you would see like an Olympic athlete
Ah,
run with a
so it,
Paralympic. So
it
it's just a very
flexes
small
and
version of
gives.
that. So it flexes
I see.
exactly. So the
I
carbon
see.
fiber flexes some, but it doesn't. It certainly is nowhere near an ankle.
Got it.
So, but it gives you a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I just started doing rack pulls, doing seated press. Eventually started standing press.
What was your first rack
Got
pull?
back to benching. Oh, I think I pulled. Well, I started with just the bar, but that was fairly easy. I think 95 pounds, something like
Walk
that.
me through that. Do you remember that moment when you're
Yeah,
sitting
dude.
there, new Bruce, right? You're out of the hospital.
Yeah,
You're all stitched up. You've got your shiny new prosthetic. You're like, all right, cool. I get to lift again. I'm a meathead. Great.
yeah,
And you're about to go
yeah.
pull that first set of rack pulls. What's going through your mind?
It's like it's like it's just like anything else. I think where you have a vision of what you want to happen, but as much as you want it to happen, and as much as you think it's possible, you're still not sure if it's actually going to come to be. And so you're like, I know I can do this. Should be fine. No problem. But it's like, but what if this thing breaks or what if some crazy shit? Or I don't know. What if my knee goes out?
Sure.
Because so it was just like liberation, freedom, where
Nice.
it's like, okay, I have some semblance now of, my leg is not here anymore, but now it's like, okay, but I'm not hindered by it.
Right on.
There's just that kind of uncertainty leading up to it, I think, where it's like, yeah, I've got the prosthetic, but how much can I really build back and get back to some semblance of who I was before the accident? And
Sure.
so, and I mean, I pulled like, I think probably I might have even pulled just above the knee. It was
Mm.
very nothing crazy, but it was just still like, okay, that first step. Now I know. And it's just like the NLP. You do the first one, and then it's like, okay, we'll just add a little bit, add a little bit, add a little
Mm.
bit.
Hmm.
And
And Nick was your coach?
yeah, Nick was helping me out,
Got it.
working me through. And I mean, some of it was not, it wasn't terribly complicated stuff, given my limitations, but it was good to have him just kind of, if for nothing else, honestly, just to kind of give me support,
Sure.
having somebody there that is an amazing coach, knows what they're doing on every level,
Yep.
and just to kind of keep me moving, because it was mostly upper body, of course.
Sure.
So, 'cause like I said, I can't squat, and so it was rack pulls and some deadlifting eventually, but a lot of it was like, okay, well, how can I program lifting like basically every day,
Mm.
like upper body,
Mm.
because we had fucking COVID that going on. So I'm like sitting at home and I'm like just antsy, jonesing, man. I'm like, I got to do something. So I'm like, Nick, can I just lift like basically every day, dude? Because I can't sit here all day.
Yeah.
And so it was just, he helped me just, mitigate fatigue, but just get jacked up top, man. That's what it's all
Let's
about
do
now.
something.
So yeah. So, so yeah, it was great. He was just as you know Nick.
He's the best.
He's a great guy and just a wealth of knowledge, and
Never met a
just it was
single
an
person
amazing
who's like
resource.
that fucking Nick, man. Just don't
No,
like the guy.
no, 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 absolutely, absolutely not,
Yeah.
man. So yeah, it was. So that's what I did. I just went out to my cold garage with the fucking beanie and a hoodie on, and just got after it every day, and tried to just build back as best I could, and did so quite effectively. I have to say, without being too arrogant. So, and a lot of that is Nick just kind of helping me out and keeping me going.
And you putting in the work. Can you walk me through how you progressed and how long that took roughly, and what you were going through along the way? Pain, uncertainty, hiccups, whatever happened to occur?
Uh, yeah. So the upper body came back pretty quick. Um, let's see. I did. So like I said, I weighed about. So before the accident, I weighed about 145.
At what height?
I'm like 5 foot. I'm like 5'3".
5 feet.
So
Yep.
I am still small, but just I'm not like 6 feet at least.
Sure.
But so and I benched 280 at about 142,
Damn.
and so just benching the bar was a bit of a shot to the ego. But that actually came back relatively quick, and before I even had my prosthetic, because I remember hopping around on one leg, loading up the big wheels. I was back to benching 135. So that came back within 4 or 5 weeks probably.
Mm.
And same with seated pressing like 115, something like that within the first 6 weeks or so.
Seated's awkward, isn't it? It's the balance is really
Well,
weird.
it is awkward, and when you only have one leg to support yourself with, it's really tough. So, but I rigged it up, got this. I was basically pressing from the safeties so that I didn't have to unhook. It just go straight up.
Yep.
But yeah, that was tough. That was tough, but I think it probably helped, helped a little bit of stability work and just kind of little shit like that, whatever, not whatever. But, and then, once I was able to start rack pulling, um, I was pretty eager. So I started pulling from the floor pretty quick. I would say probably within like 2 weeks. Once I knew I could pull it and put some pressure on the leg and it was going to be okay, I just figured, what the hell, let's just pull from the floor and get to work. So, but by summer of 2020, I was pulling low 200s off the floor, benching in the low 200s, pressing somewhere in the 125 to 135 range, standing press. I'd worked my way back to standing, felt comfortable doing that.
Nice.
Weighted chins, weighted dips, stuff like that. But it came back pretty quick, and then so within the year, I benched 300 for a single.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well done.
So yeah, it was crazy. It was like, how the hell my bench was stronger after I lost my, it didn't seem to make sense. But, and then, so within a year or so, I was, benching up into the high 200s. And then, I did an online meet the spring of 21, and I pulled 315 off the floor.
Hell yeah. What were you deadlifting prior to the wreck?
Heaviest deadlift I had was 385.
Got it. Cool.
So
You're right back on track.
yeah. So I mean, I don't pull a ton. It was beating up my leg. So as I get further and further removed, my leg atrophies slowly over time, and so I can't quite handle as much of the heavy pulling. Unfortunately, puts a lot of stress on my limb, and there's just not a lot I can do to really negate that.
Interesting.
But I mean, I pull a little bit for fun. Pulled 255 the other day, just kind of dicking around, and went up fine. So it's like, all right, sticks around. But
Gotcha.
I still bench, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Bench and press, man.
And do what you can. We've got a guy who
man, absolutely.
will feature on the channel eventually, Greg, who broke his neck when he was a kid. And he's a total wild man. Hasn't slowed him down at all. He still walks on a cane, hobbles into the gym, benches mid twos, rack pulls with someone standing behind him, and just nothing's going to stop him,
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it's about, man.
How do you feel physically? How have things changed for you? Are you pretty much back to normal? Don't notice it most days? Is it like a major impediment to day-to-day life? Curious if you could reflect on that, and also where starting strength fits into that picture and how things might be without starting strength for getting your strength back.
Well, I'll start quick with just the starting strength. So I I don't believe I would have lived without starting strength.
No shit.
You know, like, oh no way, dude. Because I mean, now and maybe there was some hyperbole in it, but Doc was like, he and I were talking before one of the surgeries. I think probably 2.5 weeks into the hospital, and I'm just kind of shooting the shit with him or whatever. I'm like, yeah, man, my legs are pretty strong, man. I really wish I wouldn't have lost that one. They were starting to look pretty good, just kind of dicking with him or whatever. And he's like, yeah, man, that they look pretty good, bud. He's like, it's good they are too, because it probably would have ripped your whole leg off.
Oh,
So I've always been a gym bro to some degree, but I was your typical gym bro, and I wasn't squatting before I found starting strength.
sure.
So I found, I wasn't doing any of that
What a
shit.
waste of time.
So I found starting strength in like, I think it was late 2015, and really, really got into it where I had the equipment and everything in the spring of 2016. But, I added like 250 pounds to my squat. So
And how
over,
long?
2.5 years. So like the size of my thighs were just, they're not huge now, but relative to where they were, because I was just a little insect,
Yeah.
they'd, added several inches to the size of them. So, he was pretty certain if they weren't as, because they were, they're pretty dense, muscular build, whatever. If they weren't that way, it probably would have ripped my leg off, and
No shit.
there's no way I would have survived bleeding out. So, as far as starting strength is concerned, just there's no doubt in my mind that putting that work in and getting strong did it. Like that kept me from dying for sure. So, and it's funny because, I'd always, my wife would be like, man, you kind of taking this lifting serious, and I'm like, look, baby, I'm trying to be harder to kill. And then of course
There
my,
you go.
my loud mouth shooting off. Well, there you go, man. It's the proof is in the pudding, I guess.
Just
So,
like I said,
but
love.
just like I said, baby, this is all part of the plan. So, so yeah, so as far as pre-accident, there's no doubt in my mind that if I were the same guy walking around in 2019 that I was in 2015, I wouldn't have made it.
Mm.
And as far as the rehab, it's just a total game changer, because I think I spent 12 weeks in physical therapy. I'd go twice a week, and it was good. Like I said, they were really good people, and they were doing the best they could. And in fairness to those involved, my situation was fairly like random, fairly novel. Like most of the people that have an amputation like this are older, and it's like diabetes or something like that.
Mm.
So the trauma, and then it's all and to be young and in a pretty good shape. And so it was all kind of a weird situation. It's pretty rare. So I think in some ways they weren't really even sure exactly what to do.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like the physical therapy, really what I got out of it was they would massage me
Oh yeah,
when I
it
went
feels
in.
nice.
So that was good.
Sure.
But other than that, I didn't really get a whole lot out of it. And so the, getting back and getting under the bar again, like not only did it build me up and build my strength up and get me to where I could balance and feel comfortable walking around, but mentally, like just building back that confidence and kind of knowing that, this is brutal, but it's not the end of the world. You will figure
Damage
it
but
out, and
not
you're still able
destroy,
to.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just a game changer, man. Being strong is, you read the words in the book, you go through the program, you do some yard work. You're like, hell yeah, being strong is good. But you, you know, when you get into a situation where like being strong is literally what keeps you from dying,
Yeah.
you really kind of realize like, oh yeah, okay, being strong is pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, the program, everything is that Rip and Steph and Baker and all these people have put together. I mean, saved my life.
Did you ever watch that email from a Triggered Member podcast? Does that ring a bell?
I don't know.
There was a I almost said the city. There was a member from a gym who wrote in and said the quote on the wall, "Stronger people are harder to kill and more useful in general," was triggering for her, and she did not. She ended up quitting the gym. Glad we're gonna have this episode up.
Yeah.
The next time we hear shit like that, we'll just send them a link to this. And I just want to make the point while we're on the topic that being alive is not safe.
No.
You might die prematurely. You might get traumatically injured prematurely. You might get a minor injury, and you might be a little bit hurt. All sort of things can and will happen. We all know this. The reason I mention this is because in 2022, we're not exactly the hardest people that have ever lived throughout history in this culture.
Nah, come on, man.
And I don't say that to shit on anybody. I say that to motivate those that are listening that sometimes make excuses for themselves. Like, yeah, I just don't feel great today. Like, kind of busy. Tweaked my shoulder. There's a way to work around this stuff and to train. If you don't know what the way is, you can get some help. But if Bruce can be in a coma and lose a leg and come out of physical therapy and then immediately test his new leg on a rack pull, the next time you're complaining about how cold it is outside, you don't want to drive to the gym, I would like you to keep that in mind, please.
Yeah, and I was doing that in a gym without heat. So don't tell me it's too cold to drive. My ass was out in fucking 30-degree weather, 10-degree weather, whatever it was. but and that's good, because the other thing too that I always like to I'm no special entity, man. You know what I mean? I'm not some rare breed of just this like top 1% physical just monster. I'm just some dude.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a big thing that really, and to your point, Ian, as well, but that's a big thing that really pushed me into trying to see if I could make a career out of coaching, because it's like, I'm just some dude, man. Mm-hmm. It's not me that it's not, I don't think there's anything special about me. It's just, I chose to try and get strong. I followed through with it as best I could. I got stronger, and relative to where I was, I got significantly stronger. And that's what kept me here. It's no special secret sauce. It's no, it's nothing like that. It's just hard work, you put in, you stick with it. And then when shit hits the fan, you're ready to deal with it.
That's right.
At least better than you could have otherwise. But I wish I could disagree with your assessment of the current state of things, but I don't. And it's unfortunate, because it's easy to get caught up, I think, in that, oh, it's cold, or I'm tired today. But it's like you say, man, like, your life is just so quickly gone. Mm-hmm. Like, and it could be just snapped so quickly from you that you literally, like, if I had died that day, I would have never seen it coming. Would have never known that it was there. It would have just been, I'm on the phone, 911, and then gone.
Lights out.
And it's all right. And so, it's like, and I'm not perfect necessarily with it, but it's really changed. Like, no day is guaranteed, man. Today is the day. There's no other days. So use today, enjoy the day, be with your family, but get ready, because it's inevitable. Something's going to happen. It's the only question is what magnitude, but sure, something will happen. So be ready as best you can for it. And plus, get jacked, man. Look good.
Why not?
This is a nice little side effect. Yeah, why not, man? It's, come on, a couple birds with one stone.
Pretending like the physical doesn't matter anymore.
Oh
That's
yeah,
the most amount of hubris. That's your silly primate brain and its consciousness tricking you into thinking that that's even possible.
yeah.
And you can do so at your own peril. Ignore your physical existence at your own peril.
Oh, it's crazy, um, but
So,
yeah,
so
man,
why did you
it's
become a coach? What was the main motivating factor?
well. So the more I got, the more I was recovering from lifting, and so I had wanted to be a coach for a while, but I had a pretty good job. I had my baby girl on the way, and so I'm kind of like, I don't want to risk, switching up the financial situation for my wife and my daughter that was going to. So I'm like, what? I'd love to coach. I was coaching some friends and some people I'd worked with and had been for a little while, and it was a good time. But at the end of the day, I was just, I don't want to risk anything with the baby coming. I've got a little more skin in the game now, and maybe down the road, but for right now, I want to make sure everything is set up and taken care of, and not take on too much. I mean, losing the leg, first kid, like, okay, maybe I'll just stick with my job for a while and not take off too much, more than I can chew. But
Mm-hmm.
um, a year and a half or so goes by, and I'm training and I'm doing these things, and I'm seeing the prep course and these different things that have been put out there, and I'm like, yeah. And then I think it was so I wrote that article for Starting Strength that you mentioned, and I got a lot of good feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily on the writing, although I did, which was nice. But I mean, just a general kind of, that was good to hear. That was cool. It was a nice little bit of a pick me up or whatever. And I thought, well, why not just see if I can make some other people not only inspire them, perhaps, but maybe I can actually just play a role, like a legitimate role in making them harder to kill.
Mm.
And that was kind of, and things with and this kind of answers your last question. Um, the so I'm pretty mobile. I move pretty well. It doesn't really get in the way of a lot of things in my day to day situation, but it did affect. I had made my career before this, and being a high activity, like nonstop, fucking pushing the limit all day at work, getting shit done, and and that was just not really something I could do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was, I was sitting at a desk, just doing odds and ends things for the company. And it was great. They were really awesome to me. But it was just kind of like, I don't know that I can do this now for the rest of my life,
Yep.
And got in touch with Ina and kind of talked to her. And she was really, her and I got along, and she's great. And she was just, she's cheerleading me on, kind of like, you should think about it. You should get in, you should try it out. You should really think about it.
On the spectrum
so,
of cheerleading to coercion, where did she fall?
Oh man. Well, she's really good. So I think cheerleading 100% because
Nice.
she probably just tricked me. You know what I'm saying? It was probably all coercion, but she's good at it. So it felt
It's
like
hard
she was
not
just
to fall into the enthusiasm. She's so in love with this. It's like
it's incredible. It's incredible.
Infectious. Yeah.
So so I'm like, all right, you know what? And I talked to my wife, and we had several conversations about it, and at the end of the day, it was just like, I got a lot of years left if I'm lucky, and maybe maybe I was kept here for some bigger reasons, and so while I'm here, maybe I can make some other people stronger, harder to kill, and improve their life. So so I went for it, got in touch with Pete, and just a few months before the gym was going to be kind of breaking ground on the gym, and he and I hit it off, and so kind of the rest is history.
You and Pete over there in Ohio, where you guys are building something special. Pete's a hell of a guy. Luke's a hell of a guy. You've got Mia over there.
Oh yeah.
Just the Ohio situation for Starting Strength is in a good spot.
Yeah. So it's really good, and our clients are just unreal, man. It's awesome.
Isn't it awesome? Isn't it cool the type of people this thing attracts?
It is, man, because we don't really I almost, every once in a while, and most of the time it's kind of just some tongue in cheek joking, but you almost never have anybody that's like, man, I really don't want to come in today.
Yeah.
Certainly not so much so that they just don't come in.
Right.
They come in, they're like, it's 5:30, and like, it's cold, man. It was raining this morning, like 40 degrees, but they show up.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I'm tired. I'm like, yeah, you're tired. I'm tired. Who cares?
Yeah.
Get under the
Anyways,
bar. Let's
yeah.
get moving. It'll be good. You'll be
That'll go
fine.
away. 50
Yeah,
more reps.
exactly.
Will go away.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it's incredible, man. And when you get to build such a, I see these people all the time. I see these people 3 days a week. I see these people for 4 or 5 hours a week, every week. And, as you know, the further on you get into the lifting, most of the time you're just resting. So there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of, conversation. You get to know these people, and they're just awesome people, man. And they understand they understand the benefit of it. And they just want to come in and get strong. And if we can have a pretty good time while we're doing it, that's a bonus. But yeah, just, the people are awesome. It's incredible. It's incredible.
How's your current professional satisfaction situation compared to where it was with the old job?
Oh, I love it. Now, I will say, I mean, my last job, I worked at a components facility. So we built like roof trusses for new homes and buildings that was going up. It was all prefabricated in our plant, and then we'd ship it on site. But so it was just a blue collar, but I will say that job in particular was pretty good. My managers were amazing.
Oh,
People,
right.
I mean, I was not a salaried employee, and they never stopped paying me in the hospital.
Damn.
So, now, but that's a bit of that's not the typical situation.
Sure.
So, so
Most
the people
companies
were
don't like to
amazing.
give away money.
No, dude, it was incredible. And, they gave me 40 hours every week, even though I wasn't salary, and they called my wife and, my boss, they were there, man. They were there. So, the people there, I mean, it's going to be hard. I don't know that anyone is ever going to be, I love those people. They're great people.
Mm-hmm.
But the job itself, yeah, man. I mean, it's as much as I liked the people I worked for and around and the things I was doing, and it was a good job. It wasn't really a career, and it wasn't really a fulfilling career at all. It wasn't a fulfilling calling, situation. It's a good job with good people, and I get good money, and that's okay. I can do this for a while. But but it doesn't really compare at all to watching someone push through something that they thought they wouldn't be able to.
Sure.
And I see that almost every session.
Isn't that
with
satisfying?
someone. Oh, it's incredible, dude. And the best thing is like, oh man, I didn't think I was going to get that,
Mm-hmm.
and but you did. And it looked great, it looked better than it felt, and it's like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this today. And it's like, well, you will.
Yep.
To just, drive your hips, you'll get it, So, and watching these people that, I think certainly a lot of the clients, a lot of the people I work with, I think they have high expectations, but I also think many of them, while they have those high expectations, they're still not totally sure that it's actually going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So even though they really are expecting a lot,
Mm-hmm.
when they actually get it, they are still like,
They're
"Oh,
still
shit."
skeptical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I was expecting a lot, but I didn't actually think I'd be fulfilled. Like I didn't actually think you'd meet the stand. And so you get these clients that are just like, Bruce, when I walked in, I thought I'd get stronger, but I did not think I'd be squatting 280 pounds when I started at like 65 pounds.
Yeah.
Or 100 pounds, whatever, and it's like, yeah, I know you did, man. And that's all right.
And
because I knew you
get to
would
teach that person that they're more capable of what they think they are.
Yeah, exactly. And, but yeah, and then they bring their other family in because they trust you and you've got this relationship with them. The best thing I think well, certainly one of the best. I've got a giant guy in his mid 50s and awesome guy, George Rapp. Love you, buddy.
Hmm.
And he comes in and he's putting work in and doing really well. And to me, one of the most rewarding things was that he wanted to bring his 18-year-old son in. And it's like you don't do that flippantly. You don't do that without trusting and without believing in what we can do here. And so that's been something that I didn't really expect, like foresee, but the generational is like, that's pretty awesome.
Hell yeah.
Training your dad, build a good relationship with him. He's getting nice and strong. And he's like, you know what? I want my son to be strong. I want to bring him in and let you work with him. And it's like, and I got one of our clients in the same boat. He'll be bringing his son in on Friday for an intro, tomorrow for an intro. So I'm like, dude, it's awesome, man. So it's just, and it's the small things, man, that we talk about all the time, but it's this quality of life thing.
Yep.
Client comes in and they're like, 6 months ago, I would not have been able to carry the mulch bags from my car very well. Yesterday, I laid 30 bags, and and I didn't even realize I was doing it. And it's like, that's right, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to get caught up, especially for younger guys and gals, with weight on the bar, and that stuff's awesome. But like, that's what is like the most, to me, rewarding. It's like, I've made your life outside of here better.
The weight on the bar.
I've helped you. I've helped you.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's so all the time. I'm like, yeah, it's great, dude, but I want you to be able to live your life outside of here, doing all the things you want for as long as you possibly can. Like that's what I'm here for. So
I have no
it's
particular affinity for the barbell as a tool. If it was a shoelace that accomplished these results, I'd be happy to use shoelaces.
Exactly.
It just happens to be a barbell. The barbell is the tool for the job. It's the means to the end. And if you use that barbell in the correct way, it can really impact your day-to-day existence in this meat bucket we're roaming around the world. Last question for you. How's your coaching skill coming along? So what's your plan? Are you going to become an SSC? What's your assessment of yourself as a coach? What are your gaps? What are you working on? Just curious where you're at.
Yeah. So the SSC is that's my target. Right now I'm planning, trying to work out the logistics to go in February, to test. But I don't know, man, I'm kind of always trying to make sure I'm trying to always make sure I have a realistic, assessment of where I'm at. So, sometimes maybe I'm a little, harder on myself, maybe than I don't know, but certainly I will say, in the time I've been here since the gym opened, I have gotten considerably better. So, coming in, I knew the process. I understood the idea. The mechanics. I understood the principles pretty well. It was just the big thing is the coaching eye.
Sure.
And you don't gain that without reps. And so that's been the biggest, I think, improvement by far, is just to be able to truly see depth quickly in these things. Yeah, I mean, I think I've got a lot to improve. I think I've got a lot to go, but at the same time, people in here are getting strong and they're looking good. And so I am, I'm hesitantly proud of myself thus far, but know that there's no doubt I've got a lot to go and a lot to learn. But the prep course is really good. And as you mentioned, I'm here, I'm like 40 minutes away from Mia.
Sure.
And Mia's like, Mia, she's Mia. So that having those resources and knowing, having a good relationship with Nick, so all that stuff. But I'm excited. I think my gaps, mostly it's probably like volume and having a deep bag of cues. Since I'm a quiet, kind of mellow guy generally, so Mia has beaten that out of me, pretty effectively. so that's been good. But
platform presence.
just being able, Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, but, it's easy to get caught up for, you know, guys like myself who, not as experienced, haven't been doing it quite as long. It's easy to get caught up in the same one or two cues
Hmm.
and not really, um, appreciating how big of a deal it is to have several ways of saying the same thing.
Hmm.
I was just working with a guy yesterday, and um, I said, "Stay bent over on the way up." Stay bent over, and he did okay. And I'm like, "All right, hips first." And so the same thing,
Hmm.
but the hips first was like this eureka light bulb, and then it was just like, "Okay, good."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, that really made sense." And I'm like, "Well, it's the same thing I said before, but that's fine. That's good.
You'll,
It's just,
you'll try
it's
a
good."
cue that works for everybody, then it just doesn't work for this one person. They just
Yeah,
have no
yeah,
idea what you're trying to tell them. You
no idea.
say
Yeah,
the same thing in a different way. They're like, ah, got it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I will say that everything that the prep course and everything that Starting Strength is doing with that you guys are doing with trying to help coaches, because I know we need coaches.
Mhm.
You know, I think has been extremely helpful to me. So you just kind of got to try to put the work in, um, but yeah, it's been really good, and I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for the next couple of years. I think I've got a pretty good shot in 2023 of getting certified, and you know, we'll see. I don't want to count on my eggs before they hatch, but I feel really good about what I'm able to do in here and just working with these people. So yeah, I'm excited about it for sure.
Well, if that's not evidence that life is a roller coaster, I'm not sure what is. But I'm happy you're sitting here talking to me, smiling,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
talking
brother.
about
Yeah,
being optimistic about the future. Appreciate you sharing your story, Bruce.
yeah, man. Absolutely,
So, a
absolutely.
couple things before we go. I believe Pete's birthday is tomorrow, so please wish him a happy birthday from me and the crew.
Will do. Absolutely.
I would love to hang out with you and have a non-recorded conversation. So let's find a way to get that done sometime. We'll
Yeah, absolutely,
have a
man.
drink, maybe a steak. If you're ever in Boise, that'll be easy. Since my little girl's coming, I'm not going to be traveling for a while, but we'll get
No,
that
no,
done one of these
enjoy, man.
days.
Soak it in.
Yeah,
Soak it in, man.
yeah,
That
hell yeah.
that's
This is why
and if you
this
can't,
episode's not going to come out till April because we pre-recorded for like
oh
several
hell yeah,
months to give myself a little
good.
bit of
Yeah,
time just to focus on my family.
that's good, man. Do you plan on catching her?
I was asked if I wanted to. I really have no interest, and I think it's because I view the delivery part as still part of the process, and
Sure.
I want the baby to that the APGAR score is like how you determine the baby's level of consciousness and response to stimuli and that kind of thing. So I want the baby to come out to be looked at, suctioned if necessary, stimulated as necessary, fully conscious, fully alert. Some of the
Yeah.
cyanosis, like the bluish tint that goes away from lack of oxygen, I want
Yeah.
that to
Yeah.
go away.
Right.
I want
Yeah.
her to be breathing. And once all that's done and the medical professionals have gotten her to that point, I'd be happy to then embrace her
Yeah.
and take a
Fair
nice
enough,
deep
man.
breath. Until then,
Yeah. Fair
I
enough.
don't
Fair
need to be
enough. Yeah.
involved. You know.
Yeah. Fair enough, man.
Yeah. Did you catch your baby?
I caught my son. I was unfortunately I did get down. I'll tell you quick. So they were not going to let me leave the. So I was in ICU, and the nurse overheard my wife and I talking about her being pregnant because she wasn't really showing. My daughter was very small, and my wife's a little taller, and so they knew she was pregnant, but didn't know how far along. And so my wife's like, yeah, the nurse is like, how far along are you? She's like, well, technically I'm due tomorrow, but she's like, what the like, we
Hmm?
got to get you out of the ICU because they're never going to let you get out of the room. And she's like, you're not dying anyway. Let's get you out of here. So they transferred me that night, pulled some strings. It was incredible. The staff up there at ProMedica in Toledo. But um, so they're like, well, we'll give you an iPad and you could watch. And I'm like, look, come on, just put me in a wheelchair, roll me down. I'm fine, do whatever. And they were real hesitant. We finally talked them into it. And so they're like, well, you have to get a blood transfusion though first. So I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I'm sitting there just watching this shit drip, drip, drips, taking forever. And I look back and my wife's OBGYN sitting there, relaxed. She's like, she's ready to go whenever you are. We're in no rush. So I'm like, okay, finished. They wheel me down. And I got down just in time for her to start pushing and got to hold her for a little bit. They gave me about 60 minutes. Nurse let me stay down there for about 80. So that was nice. But so I
Wow.
got to, but my son, but I'd planned on catching. I wanted to catch.
Wow.
But obviously that was way too sketchy. I'm in a wheelchair and my legs all busted. Like, nah, no. But I did catch my son last year. So, and I definitely understand and appreciate your mindset.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, it was an unbelievable feeling, man.
I should
It
reconsider.
was an unbelievable thing. Well, you should. No, look, you do what you think is right. I don't think there's any wrong choice. But I will tell you, both were great.
Yeah.
Didn't catch my daughter, got to catch my son. Both were amazing moments.
Yeah.
But being there, being there for him, pulling him out, being like, this is all right. And I'll tell you too, it's very brief. Hold him. He's good. All right. Now somebody make sure he's fucking actually good.
Baby's here.
Yeah.
Please make sure he's all right.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, it was a magical moment. It was something very, there's something. It was very primal, very like natural. It was like, this is mine. This is my wife's. This is mine. She's pushing him out and I'm pulling him out. Like, let's do this. And so I don't think your choice is wrong.
Bruce?
But
I mean, seriously.
bro, that's
seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, going through this process, watching my wife be pregnant, like I said, everything else just pales in comparison in terms of importance. It feels like this is my reason for existence. This is my purpose for being put on earth. It's just,
dude, I meet more and more people who are choosing to not have kids, and I just think, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're really missing out, man.
Yeah.
You're really missing out. And that's kind of always my question is like, not to be a dick, but what exactly is the purpose of being here then?
Sure.
Like, if not to create and to raise and to build strong people to live on after we're gone, like what are we doing here if not that? So,
and last night I was talking to the guys at Jiu-Jitsu about this. We just finished up the case study for our black belt, who's been starting strength for 8 months. So that's done now, and that'll be a real fun case study. But after that filming session, I was talking to Eric. He's in his early 30s. He's got a long-term girlfriend, and he just asked me point blank, should I have kids? And then the coach there, the brown belt, he already has, I think, 3 kids. So I'm like, well, I'm just talking theoretically here, man. I'm talking about how I feel before the baby's born, but it's already changed me. It's changed me hormonally, for sure. And it's also changed me in terms of how I see myself and how I think you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, how do I want to be viewed by my children?
Yeah.
And that is, when you said that, I was sitting there going, yeah, man, that's been on my mind. It's been on my mind because the number one piece of advice I get is they're not going to listen to what you say. They're going to copy what you do. So how do you conduct yourself? And I say all that to just illustrate that it occurs to me, and we'll see what happens once the show starts recording again, and I've had a few months as a dad. It occurs to me that maybe you can't reach full maturity as a human without that level of responsibility, because it's responsibility that you can't press pause on, really.
Right. Oh yeah. No, buddy. No, buddy. No. Yeah.
So
once she's out, buddy, she's out.
Yeah. When it comes to signing up for hard things and nose to the grindstone, having priorities, getting things done, not being afraid to work hard, pushing through discomfort, all for a higher purpose, it seems to me that having kids might be the ultimate version of that.
Yeah. I mean, I know from my own experience, and look, man, I love me some me, bro. I do. But there's nothing like, I was not motivated, dedicated, all of it. And it's, for me, it was like, I thought I was there, but I thought I was kind of like, okay, I'm doing well, I'm really pushing and striving for my potential. But it was like, I didn't realize that there was this other massive level that, oh, no. Now I've got to do this for my children. There's this whole other level of like, no, you're not doing anything yet. Like, and it's just incredible, dude. It's incredible. And you're not, as much as, like, I think I was saying this, something similar earlier, but it's like, as much as I love my wife, she's an adult. Mm-hmm. We're other people. I'm it's not the same.
Sure.
I love her to death. I would do anything, but
she can take
she
care
doesn't
of herself.
need me. She doesn't need me. Like
Right.
she might think but really we want each other, but
Right.
we don't, but my daughter needs me.
Mm.
My son needs me.
Mm.
And that's just a different level of like, okay, like shit, you know, get your chest up, carry the burden, do the right thing, and, you know, be the man you want. I want to be the man that my daughter will someday, the kind of man she'll look for, a good man. So I got to do the right things. I got to show her what a man should do. And I got to show my son, hey man, life sucks sometimes, but you know, push through, buddy. It's, life is good.
You see this stainless steel, my friend? You'll get through
That's right. Absolutely, man. Ain't shit, and ain't nothing.
Yeah, man, I think you're right. It kind of feels like life to date has been the prelims, and the main event is right about
Yeah.
to get started.
Yeah, man.
I'm fired up.
Yeah. Dude, I'm happy for you, man. It's going to be awesome.
I am as excited as I've ever been in my entire life.
And it's surreal, dude. You trust me. Once you see her, man, you actually can't even realize right now how in love and how excited you're going to be. That's the cool thing. You are on cloud nine, but you're still not quite there yet. When you're holding her, man, you're just like, that's what's up. This is even better. As good as I thought it was going to be, it's even better. It's amazing, man.
Good timing on this conversation. This is the day before I start disconnecting a bit. So good headspace
Good,
to
man.
be in.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for the inspiration. Thanks for telling your story. Thanks for being a solid, admirable type of guy.
Sure.
Yeah, when we ever get a chance to hang out in person, let's hang out, have a drink, have a long conversation. If
buddy.
people want to get in touch with you and say hello, ask questions, connect, follow, whatever, are you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. And hell, I don't even know what it is. Bruce 28, I think, something like that. But it'd be pretty easy to find me if you get on the Starting Strength. I think you guys follow me and whatever else. But yeah, I'm on Instagram, nothing else. But and anyone that ever needs anything at all, message me on there. It's my account is public, so just friend me if you want. Don't friend whatever. But if you want to reach out, whether you're going through an amputation or something far less serious, whatever, just hit me up. Hit me up, and because it's not easy, but life was not meant to be.
That's
so
right.
You can push through, and and if you need a little bit of inspiration or just someone to kind of be like, man, this sucks, I need someone to talk to, hit me up, man, and I'll happy to help out.
It's not easy, but nobody ever said it was going to be.
No, that's right.
Yeah, man. Well, I have a feeling today's episode is going to help some people. So again, thanks for the time, and looking forward to meeting you in person sometime.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Absolutely, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, Bruce. See you, man.